What's up, everybody? It's your boy back with another reaction video, and I will be reacting to three true disturbing fall horror stories. Believe this is from the Mr. Nightmare channel. I'm gonna put a link in the description down below as usual. You go over to his channel, show him some love over there, especially with these spooky times. Now, well, it doesn't matter because he also has like spooky Christmas stories and spooky fall, which I'm about to look at now, fall and Thanksgiving stories. So you can be spooked all year round. I mean, as we all know, I've watched these and upload them, all the time just to kind of so I don't have a big gap between when I upload shit because I'm doing large reactions to stuff. Well, reactions to long. In my head, I'm thinking long, but I'm saying large, long, like TV episodes and stuff like that. I probably need to try to get a computer because this laptop just ain't. Now what I'm trying to do just ain't doing it anymore. But anywho, we gonna keep rocking with this. So let's get into it. It's like 12 minutes, something like that. Alrighty, here we go. Hope I haven't looked at this already. Because it didn't show like I looked at it. It didn't have like it didn't say like
When I
watched or
was a
something.
really little kid, this local small amusement park that used to be opened by us would hold this annual event called Pumpkin Land, which was held on the Saturday before Halloween.
Pumpkin Land. That
Every weekend
sounds
they
like
would have
some
kids in between rides.
place in
Pumpkins would be
bumfuck
scattered throughout the park for families to pick up
Mississippi.
and take
So
home before leaving. I always looked forward to it, and this one particular year when I was 7, we were going right after my soccer game.
it's like some place I've been to,
The park
especially
also
down
had
when
a
I
little
was living
stage
down
for some of
south.
the costumes. So I was going in my cliche Scream costume. Anyway, my parents took my
Hey,
two siblings with them.
Scream is
When we
always
got there, my
timeless.
brothers begged to go on the haunted house ride first, and then the roller coasters. Basically, they wanted to do the most thrilling rides first. Anyway, my mom and two brothers got in one of the cars for the haunted house ride.
This looks real familiar
Since
right
they
here.
had me
Like,
seated
like
front,
I've
my
actually
dad stayed with me on the
been here in
front
real
so we
life.
could ride together. And I think as I started to get cold feet, I felt like I needed to use the bathroom. So we got off the line, and my dad led us to the bathroom. He went too, but I finished first, so I waited outside the bathroom. I waited for a while. I was kind of confused. Eventually, I went back to the bathroom, and my dad wasn't in there. That's when I started to panic. I was alone in a huge crowd of people, and at
Mm.
7 years old, I was actually scared of being lost. Eventually, a man came up to me and asked where my parents were.
Oh
I
boy.
told him I couldn't find my dad, and I asked him for help. He took my hand and said, "We're gonna go find them." I remember him leading me with a tight grip of my hand, and suddenly he pulled out his archaic
These
Nokia brick cell phone and started talking to someone on the other
these
end.
stories always
The
end
only
up
major thing I
turning
remember
into
him
some
saying
fucking
was, "I'm with you
pedophile.
right now," as he looked down at me and smiled. Then he said, "Okay," and hung up. He looked at me again and said that was my dad, and that he was waiting by the parking lot.
I'm
He
like, how?
continued to lead me.
I mean, he's
Even at
7.
7 years old, I wasn't an idiot.
Oh, I
I
guess.
realized to the fact that my dad did not have a cell phone, and that this stranger probably didn't know my dad. How would he even know who I was if I was under a screen
Yeah.
mask?
What?
When
Yeah,
we were
that's
approaching the
even
parking
more
lot,
like. Wait a minute.
I
What?
spotted a female
I
employee
forgot he
outside
said
saying, "Excuse
he
me,"
had
over
a
and over
he had a
to get our
mask on.
attention. Then I said, "I don't know him, please help." The man defended himself, saying he knew my dad and was trying to get me to him. But the employee took my side and asked me to come
Yeah, the
stand there
employee gonna
next
be
to
like,
him while I
well,
spoke to my
let's
parents.
find this dead. All right.
The man didn't stay a second longer after that. He walked away quickly into the parking lot. The employee announced over the park intercoms that a child in a Scream costume was missing his parents and gave my name. Eventually, my dad came running over, waving his hands. He was a nervous wreck. The employee told him of the potential predator and the possible
He'd
attempt
be
to
like, your
leave me,
kid almost got
and that's
fucked
when I
up.
lost it. When my mom came over, she was just as furious. My parents asked the manager to see the surveillance footage. Somehow, at that time, the amusement park didn't have any surveillance cameras, according to the manager. Still, my parents
Well, a
thanked the
lot of those
employee for
places,
getting me away from
especially
my
if they
dad, and we
move,
tried to have a
like
normal
they
day
don't
after
have
that.
like
I was too young to realize the
surveillance
severity of
cameras
the
like that.
potential situation I had just avoided. Obviously, remembering it as an adult is a lot more sickening to think about.
Like I've been to quite a few places like to like carnival stuff. They don't have surveillance cameras and stuff. Some do now because it's a lot easier to put like go to Walmart and buy those surveillance cameras, but
And my mom and stepdad were on
not
their
too
honeymoon.
many have
I wasn't
those.
trusted to watch the house for the week, so they sent me to my Uncle Ronnie's farm. He lives with my Aunt Susie and my cousin Ronnie Jr. They have a spare bedroom upstairs that I stayed
Why
in.
did it funny with
It's an
Ronnie
old-fashioned
Jr.?
style wooden farmhouse. It's big and nice, though. The spare bedroom overlooked the crops and the numerous scarecrows my uncle had scattered through the crops. This was in mid-October a few years ago, and my uncle was mid-harvesting his corn at this time of the month. He asked for my and Junior's help. Weirdly, it wasn't tedious work, like I kind of enjoyed doing it. He wasn't using his combine. Instead, we were just hand-picking a bunch of corn.
Hmm.
I had this little rolling basket-like thing that I was supposed to fill up. I admired the 3 scarecrows he had. They looked like he put a lot of work into them. They had sweatpants on and varying flannels, along with straw hats over their heads. When we were done picking the corn,
Anytime I've
I
been in
asked
a
Uncle Ronnie how
cornfield,
long it
they
took to pick
always see
those.
crows and shit
He said a few
perched
hours
on
at
those
most.
on
He
scarecrows. They
said it
never
really
seem to
didn't
be
take
scared
keeping
of.
the crows away for the most part. That night after dinner, I played video games and smoked weed with Junior for a little bit. Then I just went to the guest room to do whatever on my laptop. Next thing I knew, a rock or something hit the window. It scared me for sure, as there is no way that wasn't intentional. I didn't want to go look out the window to check though. I just closed my laptop screen so there would be total darkness in the room. I crossed my fingers it wouldn't happen again, but when a second rock hit the window, my heart felt like it dropped out of an airplane. The room was
Just
still
sound.
completely dark, so I gave it a minute before getting up to peek through the
Damn.
window.
Tales from the Hood. It's
There was a
just,
full moon out, and one of the outside lights was on, both lighting up a decent amount of the crops and one of the scarecrows.
ain't no way in hell I go through
When I saw something
a
moving in the
a
corner of the
cornfield
house,
in
I
the
looked
dark.
back at the scarecrow to see one of its arms waving at me. No,
You ever
it
run through a
was too easy.
cornfield? Like you get
The
all
light
cut up.
stopped, and the arm moved back down to its side.
I had cuts like on my
The light was
face, on my
still up.
arms.
I
Little
eventually
bitty
just went
like
and opened the
cuts.
door,
But it was
it
enough
took
of them to where I rubbed my
he was
face with
already
blood on
asleep.
my hands. It's like shit.
I closed his door and checked downstairs for my aunt and uncle, but all the lights were off downstairs, so I checked their bedroom, and they too were both asleep. I went back to my room and lifted the blind just enough to peek out there. The light outside was now off, but with the bright moonlight, I was able to see the scarecrow was still hung up on the stick. I looked out that window for over a minute, waiting for it to move again, but the longer I waited, the more I realized I must have been higher than I realized. I finally dropped the
Wait,
blind back down.
did I miss it? He said he was high?
The next morning, I went downstairs to my Aunt Susie making us all pancakes. My uncle was already outside doing work. Aunt Susie called Junior down to eat before all the pancakes were gone. And around that same time, my uncle stormed into the house asking, "Where did the goddamn scarecrows go?" My heart dropped. The 3 of us went outside. I saw last night, and how at first I thought I just imagined it, but now it made sense. The nightmarish doorbell rang continuously at like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Okay, you definitely don't be fucking with people out in the country.
So I followed.
Cause a lot of motherfuckers
When
have
he opened the front
guns.
door, the 3 scarecrows were posted up right in front of the porch.
They doing ding
all
dong
with
ditches
red
shit
paint
like,
stains covering them, mimicking blood.
oh wow.
I called the police and turned on all the outside lights on the
Plus,
premises.
there's nowhere really to run.
The police, as well
It's
as
usually
my
open
mom, chalked it
fields
up
and
to
stuff.
some
So
stupid early Halloween prank by a bunch of immature kids. But the possibility that it wasn't, and that it may have been a much more hostile motive behind this, is what really freaked me out.
he's aware of all the goddamn scarecrow. Yeah, that would be kind of scary. That took a lot of planning to go through all that, and then come back and then put them back and put like fake blood on them,
All the leaves were varying shades of
or
yellow
paint
and
or whatever,
orange.
red paint
My
on them.
favorite time of year to visit the countryside. I was with my girlfriend at her dad's upstate home, which was usually used as a summer home, but the 2 of us came up there to go camping in the nearby woods. The home had all the needed camping supplies, including the tent, so we parked there and took the camping stuff into the woods. Why? Just the experience of camping and sleeping in the woods, I guess. I've only been camping a few times in my life, but I liked camping in the fall because there's less bugs and, of course, you can't beat the foliage. We were camped out in a small circular clearing, just big enough for our tent and campfire. We sat around the fire for about an hour.
I hate
Just
walking
talking.
though in the
Then we went
fall
inside
through the
the
woods
tent.
because there'd be a bunch of dead
Kept the
leaves.
fire going,
I feel
which
like
made my
everybody in the
girlfriend feel
world
safer,
can hear
and
me.
added a bit of warmth. Besides the sound of the crackling fire, we eventually started hearing leaves crunching in the distance. My girlfriend and I looked at each other. She put her finger up to her lip. I could tell she was nervous. Fires usually repel wildlife from approaching, so as the crunching of the leaves got louder, it got more suspicious. The footsteps also sounded bipedal, like humans'
Human.
footsteps. The crunches got louder until they stopped around the fire. Then we noticed the shadow outline of someone standing out there, and then they sat down on one of the chairs.
Oh boy.
They didn't say a word, so I finally decided I was going to peek my head out and check. I looked out to the campfire, expecting to see someone sitting on one of the chairs, but there was no one out there. I got up on my legs to look around the campsite, into the trees and darkness. I didn't see anyone out there. My girlfriend was whispering something. It sounded like she was urgently trying to get my attention. So I crawled back inside, and she said, "What does he want?" I replied, "There's no one there." She replied, "What are you talking about? I see him in the chair right now." I looked at the wall of the tent and saw the shadow outline of the person still sitting in the chair by the fire. I realized that was impossible, though. I crawled back out of the tent to look one more time,
What?
and both the chairs were still empty.
Okay, this is some
I went back inside
ghost
and said
shit.
to my girlfriend, "We need to go right now."
Mm.
She didn't ask questions. She got straight up, took my hand, and followed me out of the tent. When she saw there was no one sitting in the chair, she screamed.
Oh,
I yelled at her to shut up, and I
why
led
don't
us
you
through
scream?
the total darkness in the direction back to the mobile home. While running, we heard this horrible groaning sound not too far away from us, and one single loud
Oh, I said he
scream
gonna do
after
a
something.
groaning
These
sound
us to
effect.
scream, "Oh shit," and run even faster. How we found the property was by repeatedly pressing the car lock button until we finally heard the car
Oh,
work.
that was smart.
We went into the mobile home, locked the door, and hid under the covers in the safety of
Well, y'all
home.
got a mobile home, y'all out there
Still, I didn't feel entirely
camping and
safe
shit.
being surrounded by nothing but woods in every direction. And I
What's
was
the point of having a mobile
whoever was
home?
out there followed us. I let my girlfriend sleep while I stayed up listening for sounds. I thought I heard a clicking or something from the front door to the home, but that might have been my paranoia playing tricks on me. I fell asleep eventually, and when we woke up, we went back for the tent and supplies, scared shitless while doing so. Nothing was moved except for the one chair we thought we saw the shadow sitting in. It was knocked over. We hurried back to the car. Drove home.
Goddamn
That
ghosts.
was our last camping adventure.
I bet. Whoa, this effect messing with my eyes. It's like shimmering, and my eyes are still doing it after it stops. Okay, well, that's it. That is, stop that. Stop that. Well, the last one, they was smart. They like, all right, get your shit and get going. They like, because clearly, like, that was some supernatural shit going on. That was supposed to be some supernatural going on because you could see the shadow of the person through the tent sitting in the chair, but when he actually looked out the tent, it was nobody there, which would scare me because that's like that'd be like looking in a mirror, and it's like basically the same thing, looking in a mirror and seeing somebody behind you and then turn around, there's no one there. So, oh yeah, if you hear noises on, you probably won't hear it on this because I have uh noise suppression on OBS on. So, but there's some it's not construction, I don't know what the hell's going on out there, but it's like a trailer and some bricks on the trailer. I don't know what's going on, but they making a whole lot of noise. I think somebody having work done. One of my neighbors. And now then it started. There was no noise out there. Now it started banging and dropping shit. So if you hear that, that's what that is. But anyway, there's no spooky shit going on. Ghosts hitting on the walls and beatboxing and shit. But what was the second one? The cornfield one, yeah. That would scare me, especially like if you ever been out in a rural area where, like when I was living in Mississippi, where you would have houses sometimes miles apart because either someone owns that land but they don't do anything with it, but it's fenced off, or someone there's a house and they own a lot of land but they have their house, they don't have a big house, a small house, and then they have a bunch of clearing, so you can go up and you can just look, all out until you get to somebody else's property where it's fenced out, and they might have uh somebody might be owned by like some type of lumber company, because you see the trees are, you can tell they planted a certain distance apart, so it's owned by a lumber company. And you'll see places like that, but the houses are always so far apart, and they have a few, you know, um, porch lights on, maybe, and some of them don't even have that on. A lot of places down, like in these some rural areas, I've been, not even just Mississippi, but like I've been in Louisiana, Atlanta, not Atlanta, Georgia, I should say, not Atlanta, but Georgia, in rural areas, Alabama, Texas, even some places in Florida, like where you go. I mean, any place, even Illinois. When you get outside of cities, it's a rural area. It gets like that. But particularly, I noticed in Mississippi and places like Alabama, where the houses are so far when they apart, especially in those when you go backwoods, and it's so far apart, and then I have like maybe one porch light house on, and it's pitch black. And I've seen people walking down those roads. I'm like, you can't see nothing. Some of them have, you could have a cell phone. When cell phones start becoming more popular, um, usually like some people they would have like when I was living down there. I mean, we had like we had no Kias and shit, or flip phone, and some people had their flip phones out and trying to use that like just a little bit of anything to be able to see, to make sure they're they don't, because they're walking on the side of the road where it's like gravel or rocks or whatever, and they don't want to accident, and then it's a drop off, like a small drop off into a ditch, help with prevent flooding, and you don't want to fall off into that. So especially if it's just rain, there's muddy and shit, and there be people throw trees, or if it's roadkill, people throw dead animals over in there and stuff. So you definitely want to just fall in at night, especially. But it's be pitch black. I've driven through places like that, and it's pitch black. And like I said, you could be walking. Because one time I did walk. Um, we stayed at someone's house. I think we were in Bassfield, or maybe Prentice. But we walk. We stayed at somebody's house. I think it was my not my aunt. I called her aunt, but she wasn't my aunt. She's my cousin. We stayed at her house, and I remember walking because I used to run at night. I started like running at night when I was like 13, and just probably started doing that again. It's cold up here though. I live in Chicago. Cold up here, but I went out, and I saw, oh, it'd be actually perfect because it's less cars coming by, especially around there, and I could just go run at night. But then I went outside, and I think I was like 14 at the time. It's the first time I actually stayed at somebody's house in an area like that, and it was so dark. I went out there. She had like a few big lights shining. She had like a porch light. She had a back porch light. She had two lights on both sides of her house, and those were like the lights on all the lights were actually motion detected. But you could cut on the back light and the porch light with a switch inside or the door. But the two lights on the side were with sense with like motion sensors. And then she had like a big old light. I don't think that was her light though, because it was attached to a electric pole, power pole, and it was a big ass light. They actually, I think it was two lights on that thing, like shining. I was kind of like, I didn't know they did that, because other places don't have any. They have power lines, they don't have any lights on them. But for some reason they had one there, and it was probably about I think where her house is. Maybe like 30 feet away from her house. 20, 25, 30 feet away from my house. And it lit up quite a bit the way the lights was positioned. Plus the lights were big. And I remember it was basically it felt like that movie Lights Out, where it was because there was no moon that night. And the lights, of course they illuminate to a certain point around them. It was just like it was almost just like a curtain of darkness. You walk up to it, and it's just black, like right at the end of the light. You couldn't see any further. And you walk out past that light, your eyes try to adjust to like the darkness, but it's no light for your eyes for to capture. So you just like I can't see anything. I remember like yeah, I was like I'm just gonna I think I'm running laps like around the house. I was like, yeah, I'm not going over there. I'm not going that far out. Plus, like I did it when like my dad and I can't remember her name. She passed away like a while ago. I think she passed away like 13 years ago. Something maybe a little bit longer than that. Yeah, I think it was 13, maybe 14 years ago. But my dad and she was still up. So, because the lights were on inside, so I was like, oh well, I don't. I was like, I know. I was like, I'm gonna do this. Her get this out the way. That way, because I didn't have a key there, so I couldn't lock their doors. I was like, I don't want to be running around the house and somebody wait for me to go around the house, timing it, and then go up inside the house and shit. So I was like, nah, I just do it while everyone's up. And I remember I used to stay on my aunt's house. She didn't live that far. She lived just outside. Well, was it outside the city limits when I was living down in Columbia? I don't think she lived outside the city limits. Since she lived in the city limits, it wasn't like close to it was the city limits, but it was just outside where it was getting more rural, like the houses were getting further and further apart. Not as far apart as outside city limits, but they were a little bit further apart than inside city limits. And inside, looked like more like traditional town or city where the houses, you know, are pretty close together. Not like Chicago where the houses down. It's like houses be. It's just enough for one person to walk in between, like people to walk single file in between the houses. Not like that. A lot more space. And she had like a lot of woods behind her, like a big wooded area behind her house. But she had a big clearing from her front yard because there was a house. Like if you looking from her house, there's a house over here. There's a yellow house, and there was another house over here. And she had the biggest yard, and she owned like a big front yard, huge front yard, and her backyard was pretty nice size too. But then it went into like almost looked like a small creek. Well, you could just walk over. It's like very small, and um, then it went into like a wooded area, and it looked like something. I don't know what was going through there, but it kind of cleared a path to go through. Because I remember they had a dog, like a pit bull, and that motherfucking dog went back in the woods one day. He used to always go back in those woods and just come out. I don't know what it was doing, be dirty and shit. And one day it went in those woods and came back out with a goddamn skeleton of I think it was a dead deer. And this thing, it had been decomposing. Like it was mainly like most like a lot of the meat was gone. And some of the face was kind of still there, but it didn't like it was just decomposed. Like some had been eating it. And probably was a damn dog eating it too. And it dragged that thing all the way up to her carport. They went out there, and I remember hearing this a scream, and It's like when my cousin screamed and went out there. That dog had that, and it was like brought you a gift. Like, cause he gets put it, the dog put it down. It's kind of like looking at us like what? Don't you like it? It's a gift. Like hell. No. I had to take my cousin had to take it, drag it back. He drug it. I don't know what cause he drug it back out into the wood. Cause I saw him go out there. But I was like, what's stopping that dog from getting it? I think he, I think he ended up burying it. My other cousin came, ended up burying it. My older, like what, grown cousin. I think he was like in his 40s. I think he ended up burying it. Kind of, but I was like, you got to bury that kind of deep, cause the dog could just dig it up, you know. But yeah, there's when you out in some of the rural areas, especially like when it's dark like that, you just, you know, like with that first story, that was a pedophile shit. But she got lucky because I remember when I was working down at Disney World, I remember we had a lost kid. I'm gonna hurry this up because it's like 26 minutes now, almost 27. Um, there was a lost kid, and I had been working. I think it was like I've been working like 6 that morning, and they asked me, "Do I want to work a double shift?" So now it's this very start of no, yeah, it was the very start of my next shift, but that the kid had been missing before that, cause they when they asked me right before that, I think like 20 or 30 minutes before that, they said when I was thinking said this kid was missing, but and everyone was looking for because he was missing. Kid was missing for a little bit over 8 hours, and they didn't know where he was at. And I'm working. I think I was working at Journey into the Imagination, and at Disney World at Epcot. And I remember just I was just working, and they only had security guards, looking for him stuff like that. So I'm like, and I kept hearing them talk over the radio, talk over. I said, why are they talking over our radios? Because everyone had a different frequency. So, but everyone had the same radio, but had different frequency, like security or whatever. And I'm like, why they keep talking over our radios? Like, and we not looking for 'em? And I got so mad to the point because I was just getting tired. And at that point, because now I'm into my second shift, and I remember I asked I started looking around. I was like, where? I said, where was this kid last seen? And they was like, he was, and then he didn't even like question like why did I want to know? He was like, oh, he was over. Uh, no, I take that back. I wasn't at Journey to Imagination. I was at the front part of the part where what was that? That ride in the Epcot dome. It's like a ride. It's like going through time or some shit. I forget what it's called, but it's a lame ass. People used to throw up on that ride all the time. They're like, "Oh, you got protein spill," and I'm like, "Why are people?" I got on that ride for the first time, well into my internship there, and I was like, "Really? People throwing up?" And I said, "It got to be already sick." Cause I was like, "But why so many people throw up on this ride?" Because I worked there, and I constantly have to go over there to clean up spills. I was like, "This ride is so slow." Even the employees that he's like, "I don't know." He said people throw up all the time. I remember I had to get on the track once and clean up the doggone thing because they threw up off the seat, off the ride onto the track. It's like, why do I gotta clean that shit up? But damn, they doing a lot of shit. But anyway, I was like, where is he at? I was like, where was he last seen? And he said he was last seen. That's what he said. He was last seen at the Journey into the Imagination. And I figured I heard them say that the kid was like uh basically mentally retarded. And so that's what his parents were saying. So that like he might, it'd be harder for him. He might get lost and then he don't know. He just won't ask anybody for help and he'll just sit there. Which is how I felt. But I went over there and I remember walking over there after I finished what I was doing. I went and walked over there. And I was like, okay, if I was a kid, I was like, where would I go? Because I said he might go to. They said last places with journeys to imagination, but I could see a bunch of security over there at the time and looking. So I was like, well, he's not clearly not there. They would have found he's been gone for 8 hours. And I looked at what was that other part? It's like It's like basically like it looked like a big tree house. It has soaring in it. It has some other rides in it. It has a restaurant in it. Decent restaurant too. I ate there my last week there. For the first time. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in there. It was that, and then on well, this is if you walk into that part, you see Journey to the Imagination. The Living, it was called The Living something. Can't remember. But then over on your right, it was not Sea World. The Living Sea, I think that's what it's called. I liked working over there because it had you can go up there and I had to go inside and stuff like that, and because I was custodian, so I had to clean like the bathrooms and stuff, and they be talk to the guys with them. They like the marine biology stuff like that was cool. And very informative there. And I said, well, he's a kid. These are two bright places. And Journey to Imagination is a big, basically red building with the roof look like a uh um not a prism, and the Journey to Imagination was like sky blue with fish and stuff painted on the side of it. So I was like, and the other one was like a wooden tree house. I was like, he probably if a bunch of security guards over here and then none over here, so he probably go over here. So I went and looked over into the Living Sea, and I went and looked over there walking around. I saw a kid just sitting on the bench, and it was an old dude sitting there. He was trying to like talk to him, and I guess he was a much older guy, like this guy, like he might have been in his late 70s, maybe early 80s, and he was trying to, because I overheard like where's your parent? Like he was trying to talk to Kenny. Kid was just like he was just basically just staring at the ground. And I remember calling my supervisor. I was like, "What'd you say that kid was wearing again?" And I think he said like red pants with like black trim or black trim like around the bottom of the shorts, not pants, shorts, and his shirt with the shirt look like stuff like that. And I said, I think I found her over in front of the Living Sea. And by the time I walked over there, one of the other employees that was working at the Living Sea at the front, he had walked up and I was trying to talk to the kid. Like I walked up, but I didn't walk over there. I was just kind of talking at a distance on radio, and then he walked up to the kid. I guess he saw that old man, because later on he told me, I saw the old man talking to him. I was just concerned because he was like, who was that? And like, the way the kid was looking, like he was uncomfortable. But I went up and talked to the kid, and you could tell like he was scared, he was confused, and I was trying to talk, I was talking real calm to him. He started speaking to me, and then I was like, yeah, I said, do you, I was trying, they was like, they told me on the radio to bring him over to the office, like our office. And I was like, I tried to get the kid to go, man. The kid was he wouldn't talk after that. He was and I got on the radio. I said, look, the kid don't want to come with me. I said, can you get security to come and say, because he'd probably see the uniform because they look like kind of like cops. And then the hat and everything like that. So I said, he'd probably see the uniform and associate that with police. And he'd be like, oh, he's a good guy. So he'll go with him. So then I sat there with him, and I was talking with the other employee at the Living Sea, and I said, yeah, this kid's been missing for like over 8 hours. And I was like, you like what? He said, well, the kid's been sitting there. Cause he said he went to break and came back, and the kid was sitting there. So he said that was, I think he said that was like almost an hour ago. So I was like, where the hell was this kid at? And they couldn't find him. And they were looking all over the park, even in the world part where they have all those pavilions with like the different countries. They were looking all over there. This kid sitting up here, the Living Sea right up front, at the front bench, right at where before you go into the Living Sea, the entrance, the main entrance. And he just sitting there. But like I said, I guess that he been only sitting there for almost an hour. So, and when they came over there, he got up. The security guy talked to him. He got up, went with him, and I started walking like behind him. And as soon then we saw the parents, and then my supervisors was with them, which I thought was interesting. So I said, I guess the supervisors help, but they don't have the everyday other employees help. Uh, and then the mother, because they were much older. I'm guessing they were the grandparent, and the mother came over and just hugged me, and she said, "Oh, thank God." And her husband, he's you know he did the he grabbed me on my shoulder. He's like, thanks, son. I appreciate it, man. He said, boy, I've been missing for so long. He was getting so nervous, and they were like, you could tell the woman was in tears. Like you could tell she'd been crying before, and she started crying again when she saw her kid. And because well, she hugged him first, and then she hugged me when cause I came walking up. Like I don't know, I was probably like 10 to 15 feet behind them. It was at first because I had to go back to my area, and I had to go through that part to get there, and they were right there. And and I was curious. He said, "Yeah." He said, "Kid been missing for so long." He said, "They should do this more often, where they have everybody, looking for a lost kid. We'll find them fast." Because as soon as I started looking for him, I wasn't even looking for that kid for 20 minutes from where I was walking at to find him. Like, and I found, and I said, this kid been missing almost 9 hours. Like, I think it was like 8 hours, and like, I think because I want to say, I know it was like it had to be like around 10 or something, maybe a little bit earlier than that. No, it had to be like 10 or maybe it was 11. Might have been like 11 when they first went on the radio saying the kid was missing. But but yeah, that could be. And that kid, he needed extra help. So that could be definitely because you could like when I see the look on that kid's face, he was just staring at the ground. Then I guess the guy was making him nervous too, the old guy, but the old guy he was actually just trying to be helped. Like I heard him like say like, "Where's your parents?" and stuff like that. But plus he was like in a you know in a park. I mean, the kid's been missing for that. Like, I guess he could have done something, but I was like, this dude's like, and he had like a cane and shit. Like, this dude's not gonna take this kid. He's too damn old to do anything. And that kid looked like he was like 10 or 11, something like that. But they said that his intelligence level was much lower than an average, 10 or 11-year old. But yeah, anyway, I've been talking for way too long. So I hope you enjoyed my reaction. And if you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell. You can be notified when I upload new videos. Comment down below. Share this video. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.